Howdy, 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 and thank you for joining me tonight. In just a moment here, I'm going to bring in my guests who are going to be joining me tonight for this one. I want to put this out here right here and now. This is a trigger warning, folks. Be prepared. This is something that when I saw it, it absolutely blew my mind. So be prepared for the fact that you're going to hear some things you may not like, may be triggering, but we're going to put it out there. Like I said, tonight we're bringing some receipts with us. We're going to show you how it is that it appears that Scientology is directly going after children, targeting children. Let's see. Righty. And we're going to get started off. And so my first guest is going to be joining me is becoming a regular on here, has been a LA County Sheriff's deputy. He's now retired. Fellow law enforcement officer, and has been an amazing contributor to the SPTV family. So please welcome our good friend, Sir Crepitus. How are we doing tonight?
Hello, very good, thank you. Hanging in there.
Digging that shirt you're wearing?
Yeah, I got that from Natalie.
Excellent, excellent. So, you ready to go tonight?
I am. Let's do this.
It's going to be an interesting one, that's for sure. And our next guest, and she is also becoming a regular on the channel. Why? Because she keeps digging up more and more and more dirt on Scientology, what they're doing, and the dirty games that they keep playing. Now we're bringing out the receipts that they're going after the children, folks. So please welcome my friend and our guest, Mona FatGrammy. How we doing, Mona?
Wonderful. Enjoying a nice Wednesday night afternoon. It's nice outside.
It's been nice here in Michigan, that's for sure. It's been hot, but it's been nice. Been getting a lot of work done. Everybody make sure you say howdy to our good friend Clearwater Chad. Chad is working, but got to get him in on a live the other night. As a matter of fact, last night. And just a good friend. Like I call him my brother from another mother there. And I'm doing real good with my speaking tonight, that's for sure. So tonight's topic actually came to my attention because our friend Mona here sent me a link to it, and I was absolutely sickened by it. Sir Crepitus knew about it as well. There's quite a history that goes on with this stuff, and it's just amazing to me. So, Mona, can you tell us how you came across it?
I sure can. Well, I was watching Natalie Webster's growing her website or her channel.
Oh,
and
like
she was and she was talking with Aaron about this, and they were talking about Carol Kingsley, who happened to have gotten she took off with an arms dealer's wife, and they hooked up together, and that was the whole thing. And they were talking about the Mace Kingsley Center, and I said, Mace Kingsley Center, what the heck is that? I've never heard of that. So I started looking into it, and I was absolutely mortified when I found out about it. And a heads up, I did ask Serge to see if he wanted to come on, so he may pop in.
If he wants to be here, he is more than welcome. You know, we love Serge around here.
Absolutely. So I looked at this website, and I literally was ready to barf. I could not believe what I was looking at. So this is down in Clearwater, Florida, and it is a family center. So it's not necessarily a school. It's a family center, kind of like a school. Well, and I'm going to let you take it from there.
Before we go into it in too deep and we start pulling up the website on it, in a minute here, I want to talk to you about the history of it. But you had sent me a link to something that Serge had posted in his community tab, and I think that this is really telling of Scientology. And what we have here is a young lady, and she has Ecuador written on her shirt right there. And it says, what exactly is being purified from a child, ? And if you look, she's holding the purification book. And the next question is, how old is she? And purification rundown for kids. Why? And that's something, if we could get if Serge is able to jump in, that would be awesome, because he can talk to us more about why they think that kids need to go through the purification rundown. But this is absolutely sickening to see these kinds of things coming out of there. And Sir Crepitus, thank you for gifting those memberships. And everybody, if you got one of those memberships, make sure you say thank you to Sir Crepitus for that. So, and the next one is, I wanted to bring this one up. I know she's not exactly a fan favorite nowadays, but you know, she does speak out quite often and she does put the information out there. And Leah Remini and the Aftermath investigates the church treatment of children. Two former students of Scientologist run Mace Kingsley Ranch describe manual labor, corporal punishment during their time there. And it's just amazing. And if you get a chance, and this is from the Hollywood Reporter, I'm going to go ahead and post the link here, folks, for all of you to see it. I am trying to keep myself as calm as possible, seeing the kind of garbage that's coming out from this. It's, my gosh, it's just, it's sickening what is going on. The abuse and the horrors that these children are going through. I mean, we hear about the things that are going on. You know, we hear about these stories. We hear about Serge's stories. We hear about Jamie Mustard. We hear about a lot of the folks who have been in Scientology and the things that they've gone through. And now, you know, it's getting to the point where it's more sickening the more we look into it. And folks, I'm going to post a link for a video. I'm going to give you another trigger warning on this. This video is called Mirror Scientologist OT8 Wally Hanks beating a kid for media release. Now, this is a YouTube video. It's not some dark website or something like that. This is literally out on YouTube, and it's an audio recording of Wally and him actually abusing a child that was at the Mace Kingsley Ranch. I'm not going to play it because, quite honestly, it sickens me to listen to it, even though, you know, everybody knows I'm a retired cop, but I still get very, very emotional when it comes to abusing children. So I'm just not going to play that game. But trigger warning on that. If you do click that link on that video, please be sure that you know that this is not something that is, it's not good. And putting
That's
the link.
what I could not understand after watching that video and everything that happened for the Mace Kingsley Ranch in LA, in California. They booted him out of there because of this. They shut it down.
Well, that's what I wanted to talk to you about next, was the history of Mace Kingsley. How, you know, it's been, how many different states has it been in now?
This is the third state.
So through 3 states. So between the both of you, let's talk about the history of the Mace Kingsley Ranch and why it's had to pack up and run to different states throughout its history.
Go ahead, Sir Crepitus.
Yeah, actually, I didn't get a chance to read up that much. I had a big meeting with my attorney today, so I only got to go so deep.
Okay,
So,
well, I'll do it then.
okay.
So they started out in California, and they had a ranch there. And in fact, I think some of the adults that are now in LA protesting were at that ranch. There were a couple of them. So
Now, is this the one we saw, like the brochures they used to hand out for it and everything, and the commercials about how great it is, the kids there with the horses and all that stuff?
it was one of them. Yes, there was a couple of them. So this Mace Kingsley Ranch there in California, as I said, the abuse happened. They've shut them down. They said, "Get out of here. Don't ever come back." So they took it to New Mexico. Same thing happened. They were shut down, told never to come back. So what they do, instead of shutting it down and just completely forgetting about it, they moved it to Clearwater, Florida, and turned it not into a ranch, but into a family center. So they've been operating as a family center. In 2000, I believe, 17, there was a huge protest, and some folks turned them into DFS. I believe that's the Department of Family Services down in Florida. Well, all of a sudden, the reports and the complaints were pulled because the lawyers sent cease and desist letters to all the families saying that they were going to sue them for defamation. And that's the last that anybody's done anything with it. And I've put in request to Aaron, to Nora, to Liz, to Serge, and I talked a little bit about it, but I've put in request, and it's almost like it's a taboo subject.
Really?
Well, for obvious reasons when we get to the website, but
Right.
it's almost taboo.
Grammy, was it law enforcement that shut them down, or was it the state that shut them down here in California? Do you remember?
Off the top of my head, no, I don't.
Yeah, because I remember hearing about this outfit back in 2008. How they were tied to Scientology and all that. Then I had forgotten about it over the years, and it wasn't until the day before yesterday, when you brought it up, that it all came back to me again. But I don't understand why the federal government hasn't gotten involved in ending them if they've been chased out of 2 different states already. It just blows me away.
Different name, different social security number, different EIN.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. These companies, I mean, if you look out and these companies that are, you'll see them open up under a name that's almost identical, but they've changed 1 or 2 things in it, and they've created a completely new LLC or whatever they're using with a new EIN. And I mean, you see, they go out, you see these companies getting sued. They're being looked at by the authorities for things that they've done. And then they turn around and they just change 1 or 2 things in the optics. And next thing you know, they open back up under a completely different name. So I wouldn't see a reason why they wouldn't do the same thing here. It's just, wow. It's incredible.
So the ranches and the schools that we've been looking at, almost all of them, like the schools are K through 12. The ranches are normally 8 to 17 ages.
Right.
And now watch what we show you here.
Yeah, it's going to be, I hope y'all are ready. And just to let you know, this is not the only one. I'm going to put the link in here. This is the ex-Scientology Kids website. And they have a list here of Scientology. They call them Scientology schools. You have, well, the most notorious, the one I've heard more of than any of them, is the Delphi Academy. There's the True School located in Clearwater, Hubbard-based elementary program, Renaissance Academy out of Los Angeles, Ability Plus or A Plus is, where's that one out? That's out of Los Angeles and Colorado. Then you have Mace Kingsley here, Greenfield School located in the United Kingdom. Applied Scholastics is the Church of Scientology's educational oversight branch, though AS does not openly affiliate itself with Scientology. Its goal is to promote Hubbard's teaching methods.
They're definitely a front group.
That's what it sounds like. It sounds
and
like
even the Delphi schools, you look at those, and it takes a little bit of digging to show that it's LRH. It's not like blasted on the front page. You have to dig a little bit, because I think they receive federal funds and vouchers. And so it's there, and it is, but it's not blasted on the front page.
And Joel explains it perfectly here. Gypsy companies. That's what I've heard that term used many, many times for companies that just change their name and reopen doing the same thing with a different face to the whole thing. So folks, if you are all ready now, we're going to go ahead and we're going to delve into the Mace Kingsley. Let me see what it is. Mace Kingsley. They're not saying what they are here, but I believe they're called the Family Center.
Yes.
And so we're going to get started right now with that, and we're going to show you what's going on. So if you look at it, it looks like this child kind of development thing. It's showing this happy child there being helped by someone. We give children a brighter future, proudly displayed right there. But if you look right here, all right, it says right there, Mace Kingsley, and that's their logo. Right underneath of it in black letters, we audit kids.
Yeah.
What's that tell you, folks? I mean, that's telling you directly how one of the things that they do is they goes directly for children. So you look here, the first block here, child processing for babies and children, shows a young girl holding a very young infant there. To the right of that, study handlings and debugs. Tell me that isn't
One
just
day old. From
is that what it
one
was?
day old.
Yeah. And here, I mean, study handling and debugs, isn't that a straight up L. Ron Hubbard term? Ethics handling, purification rundown. And then it shows something more, it looks like an adult, all standard bridge services. And then to the very right, the last one, social difficulty consulting. It's amazing to me. And then you have this where you have this picture of these children all arm in arm. And it's a quote here: Scientology increases the beingness of the child in present time in order to secure the capabilities of the child in the future. LRH, Child Scientology, issue 14-G, April 1953. They ain't hiding nothing there, are they?
Not at
Nope.
all.
And when you watch some of their videos and look and read some of the articles that they have on their website, it's all Scientologies. It's just strange how they describe these processes in such mechanical terms. There's nothing human about it.
Yeah.
It's just so strange.
And we're going to get into that in just a little bit here because it gets even better than this, folks.
Yeah.
So, and then of course, get started, call us today, helping families come together. Since my son has been receiving auditing at Mace Kingsley, my life as a mother has really changed. My son is much more calm, much more than before, and mature than before. The tailor-made hatting, gee, where have we heard that term before? Given to me by Sandy was essential and complemented the auditing. I now duplicate totally my son's universe, and this keys out both of us.
I don't understand that verbiage, and I really wish there was somebody from Scientology that could explain that keys out. What the heck are they talking about?
Yeah, that's straight up Scientology lingo there. And I am not a an expert on Scientology lingo. And that's something you've had to have been in for quite a while. Let's see here. So I'm going to go on to the next one here, which is, let's see here. There we go. This one is entitled Parent Hatting. And it goes on to say, we have the exact technology listen to that. We have the exact technology at hand that handles any situation and answers all questions. Why isn't this world famous? If a school came out and had the exact strategies, courses, whatever, that handle any situation and answer all questions, you'd hear about it from people screaming it from the mountaintop. Why aren't we hearing about this more? That's amazing. Then you go into the first bullet point. How do you get your child to talk so he is comfortable telling you everything? And number 2, how do you get your child interested in Scientology?
That's a big one.
There we go. Remember that, folks. How do you get your child interested in Scientology? Number 3, how do you deal with negative influences? An example: drugs, promiscuity, stealing, etc., and help the child succeed in life. Wow. Next, how do you help your child if he is being bullied? And I find it interesting how everything is he. They're they show all these girls in all these pictures, but everything is he. What should you do if you lose your temper with your child? Amazing. Why aren't Children's Protective Services worldwide using this technology for parents who can't control themselves when they get angry at their children?
Yeah, and we all know LRH. He had one son that unalived himself, and another
Yeah,
that led the family didn't want anything to do with him.
it's amazing, isn't it? But yet he came about with a tech that's going to help every parent in the world. He was such a bright and shining star as a parent, from all accounts that I've heard. Find out how LRH addressed those questions and much more when you get Parent Hatting. The purpose of Parent Hatting is to educate parents using LRH tech so they can fully wear their hat as a parent and raise uptone, productive, and successful children. Oh boy, this is just full of Scientology lingo. A key function of the parent's hat is to raise the tone level of their children every time it needs to be done and keep it up all the time. And, they have this picture of this just absolutely happy family there. And I'm sure the LRH has completely walked them through everything. So, what are your guys' thoughts on this so far? I'm astounded.
If I didn't know the backstories of what those processes truly were, if I didn't know the repetition and the 9 hours they would keep kids in ethics handling, if I didn't know all of that, and I thought, wow, this is some cool stuff. This could really help for children that are having issues or need residential program, or parents that truly need help. Unless you know the backstory. When you know the backstory, it's as scary as F.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, this is really interesting. What were you going to say, Sir Crepitus?
yeah. To me, it's nothing but a way for them to indoctrinate children into Scientology. That's all it is. And
This is
you're probably going to touch on it, so I'm not going to say too much. But in articles that I've read online, um, and even seeing some other people's or affidavits that have actually been in that school in the past, it doesn't even sound like they do any kind of actual educating there. It's 100% Scientology. You're not going to find
Correct.
English classes, mathematics, or anything else in that school.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, with it being a family center, they wouldn't be restricted having to use that kind of stuff. They can pretty much do as they want and say they're there just for the overall mental wellness of the family.
Yeah.
And I guess that would be a good way to get around all of that. If you call yourself a school, you're going to have to meet certain criteria to keep yourself in business. Boy, and folks, it just gets better from there. So we go on to the next one: child processing for babies and children. And the very first topic: why audit babies? And it goes on to say, we are frequently asked about the subject of auditing babies. Very possibly your first question is, why bother? That is what L. Ron Hubbard has to say on the subject. This is what L. Ron Hubbard has to say on the subject. It's not the baby. It's not that the baby is incapable. But the funny part of it is the trouble with a baby is he's having a little trouble with his motor control panel. I find it really interesting. Motor control panel. Wouldn't it just be motor control that children are developing at such young ages? My goodness. He's somebody that's suddenly been put into a big bomber, and he's got to find out it's got 8 engines, and each one has got separate throttles, and there's fuel mixtures over here. There's buttons, wheels, gyrometers, hydrostometers, which I have no idea what in the world a hydrostometer is. Oh, it goes right down here. A hydrostometer, a made-up name for a type of meter. Hydro means water, liquid. Stat means something that stabilizes. Meter means a measuring device. These are various devices called hydrostats and hydrometers used for measuring and controlling water or other liquids. Wow. But it's interesting how it says a made up name for a type of meter. So did L. Ron Hubbard literally make up something again just to push
Again.
his tech on the world? It goes on. It says it's terrific stuff. If anybody suddenly puts you out here in one of these B-47s, well, we noticed that, of course, everything is set towards the 50s and 60s with him, and said, well, take it out and land it again. That's a baby. It's not that the baby is incapable. It's just that the baby is not articulating and he's not in control of the engine yet to any marked degree. L. Ron Hubbard from lecture The Emotional Curb, 29th of December, 1951. So that shows you the dating on there and all that. Your thoughts?
So,
I'm laughing at Mona's comment. She says,
Oh.
so basically they're waterboarding kids.
Wow. That's pretty crazy. Wow. Let's see. Go ahead, Bill. What were you saying?
yeah, somewhere in there, and I forget where it is, but they actually refer to babies as faking it. That they actually understand everything and they understand what you're saying, but they're just faking it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how far down it is. I should have looked again, but yeah, I mean, again, why do they have to refer to humans in such a mechanical way? We aren't machines. We're not computers. We're humans.
Yeah, it's amazing. And Kate, yeah, I'm aware. Kate says, don't forget they don't see children as children. They are adults in a small body, and a new body has less thetans. It's ridiculous. And yeah, I don't know how many times I've talked about it, how Hubbard himself made the comments that children are only they're old spirits in young bodies. So yeah, they don't. I get it. They look at it that way, but honestly, when you look at that baby in the picture there, I mean, tell me that's not an adorable child, and to look at that and think that that's an old soul in a new body. I
Yeah. Well,
We
read
haven't.
the quote below the baby's picture.
Yeah, go ahead.
Wow. Lizzie the White Witch. Mace Kingsley has from the beginning been a training ground for troubled children. At the ranch, children had to construct the buildings they live in. That's
Yes.
isn't that crazy? And and that was another thing I haven't even gotten into it. It costs tens of thousands of dollars to go to the ranch to be abused in this way. That's from Lizzie the White Witch. Isn't that amazing? Not only are you sending your child there and we're seeing what's going on, the fact that they've been kicked out of 2 other states and they've had to rebuild themselves down in Florida, but charging people to send their children there.
I
And
had read there was a quote. I can't remember where I found it, and I should have copied it for the resource. Usually do, but it was $3,500 to have your baby audited for the day.
wow. $3,500 to have a baby audited for the day?
Yeah, I could do that. I'd do it for half.
Wow.
50%
Yeah,
off. I'll hold your baby for the day.
$100. $100. I'll go get a couple cans, rip the labels off of them, and string some wire over to a an ohm meter. So yeah, that's amazing. I showed the blueprints of the e-meter that were available online. I think they were either the patent blueprints or something like that was accessible publicly. And I showed it to a friend of mine who's an electrician who builds, he works on cell phones, things like that. He looked at it and he goes, why would you give me the schematics for an ohm meter? And that's the blueprints for the e-meter.
So, okay, and I keep seeing comments of CPS and sending people in. First of all, if you think of it on law enforcement, okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate to you guys, okay? If you think of a law enforcement, a cop, and he goes, okay, you need to go in there. These babies are being tortured, or these kids are being tortured. Really? Really? Prove it. Show it. They can't just walk in and go, babies are being tortured. You have to have some type of proof. Holding a baby and talking to a baby might be an aggregate abuse over time, but in that 5 seconds, it's not really an abuse, is it? I mean, it could be.
Yeah.
Well,
It, you
And
have
I was
to
going to say, so
correlate more
Crepitus, if
like
you
with
want,
the purification and
yeah.
all of that kind of stuff.
And that's where it would be great to have someone who's a former Scientologist that can actually take us through the purification rundown and what all you have to go through with that. But Sir Crepitus, if you want to chime in on about the CPS and police and all that,
it,
Please.
yeah, sure. Yeah. So, generally, when people call law enforcement and say, "Hey, there's child abuse going on here," the informant, they could give a detailed description of what kind of abuse is going on there. But for law enforcement, what they'd end up doing is they would end up going over there to do basically a welfare check. And here it is, it's a family center or a school, whatever you want to call it. So they go there, they do a welfare check, and what are they going to see? They're going to see kids doing whatever kids are doing in the family center. They're not going to walk in and see people getting beat. And then that's usually the end of it. When somebody calls about a child being abused in a home, it's a little bit different. Police can go there, they can check on the welfare of the kids, and law enforcement also has the authority to check the kids for signs of physical abuse, bruises, scars, marks, stuff like that. And if the police officer sees evidence of that, then the police officer um, usually has other officers come, make the child safe, take them away into protective custody, and then they call CPS, and CPS comes out while the parents are detained by law enforcement. So it's different when police officers are responding to an abuse call at a house versus a business. Um, so a police officer could walk into Kings Maceley or Mace Kingsley and see no evidence, and it stops there. CPS isn't going to get called.
yeah. And
So what
I
I have been working with Serge, and I posted some questions for him and literally Michael, is I've asked him these questions because we need to make a clear connection and correlation of that these doctrines are harming and abusive to children.
Yeah.
So without that, you can't just say go in because there's no bruises. Well, there might be, but there are no bruises to speak of. There
Right.
are no broken bones to speak of.
It's
So we
emotional
need to
abuse.
show that the process and the doctrine is what's causing it.
and
Yeah.
that's one of the big things, folks. And you got to remember, with law enforcement, for us, our training as it goes into this type of situation is somewhat limited. And they focus more on training us about how to drive a car, how to go to the range, how to operate our duty weapons, those kinds of things. And we spend a ton of time on that. They make us, go over all of these laws and everything and pretty much rewrite them just so that we get them pounded into our brains. But there's not a lot when it comes to the actual child psychology or psychology, period. There's not a whole lot of training that goes into that. And when we're going to check for abuse, the things that we're looking for and most of the time it's going to be in a home situation. It's not even going to be in a school. We're going to look for, is there food in the home? Is the home clean? Is it not infested with vermin or bugs? Do the children look healthy? Do we see obvious bruising, anything like that on the children that would indicate some kind of abuse has happened to them? When you go into something like this, you're looking more towards the psychological end of things. And then when it comes to the actual purification rundown, and if I remember that correctly, it's a lot of a certain kind of vitamin that they have to take. And then they're spending hours in a sauna to remove toxins from their body. I believe that's the whole point of it. But when we're going in, how do we check for those kinds of things and whether or not they're dangerous? And Amy brought up a good point, is if we could have a pediatrician who could go over some of these things. But the real sad thing about it is, unless we have a Rosetta Stone, basically a former Scientologist who can describe what this stuff is and what is being these children are being put through. Even a pediatrician, niacin, that was the one I was trying to remember. Thank you, Haggis Basher.
Right.
But the thing is that without someone there explaining what these actual techniques and purification rituals and all these things are and what they're doing and how they handle it, even a pediatrician is going to sit there and go, I don't understand what's going on here. So, that's the bad thing about it. But this is something that, we didn't have time to be able to get to dig out a pediatrician who'd be willing to come on or even talk about this. And we didn't have time to, we wanted to get someone in. Mona had reached out to Serge, but Serge is really, really busy, and most people are nowadays. So this was something we wanted to get out there, and that's why we've rolled with it at this point. It's
And Andrew and Miss Kim, yes, I have been working with Serge about getting it to the federal level, and it is there, but I'm just me. And the more eyes on this and the more knowledge about this, how many of us knew this place even existed? Certainly not me.
I didn't know about it till you sent me the email with the link.
No, nobody did. So without the eyes on this, without people knowing and the knowledge, how's it ever going to be looked at? This is one of those, oh, this is a nice place. Not.
Yeah. And folks, if you look in the description of tonight's episode, there is a link. How do I find my congressional representative? And, if, you want to send this information over to your representative, by all means, get it out there to them. Like I've been saying, get this stuff to the politicians, get it to the bureaucrats, get it to anybody that's going to listen. And, that's one reason why I've been really happy about having Mona on here, because she's been doing amazing work in handling a lot that's going on. She's been able to get ears to listen to her that most of us can't get. So, we just got to keep trying at it. Oh man, I'm really trying to keep my cool on this. So,
What somebody had just there was a lady that's an RN, and I think she had talked about it in mine. Let me see if I can pull down.
Okay. That's the section I was talking about. John.
Amy M. So Amy, do you know what is the recommended age like for saunas for kids, and what do you know about it? Do you mind?
Amy's a nurse?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, it says right there as an RN. Yep. Oh, that's a really good point. As an RN, this is so dangerous as children's electrolyte balance is so fragile. Saunas are dangerous and not recommended for young children.
And if you go to the purification section there, it shows pictures of little kids in that sauna.
Oh yeah, we're going to get to that. So, but yeah, I mean, my kids are 27 years old. It's been a long time since I had babies. So, I don't remember a lot of the things that, we learned when they were children, through the different books that you read and all that, talking to pediatricians and stuff. And wow, so some of this stuff is new to me again. So here's what they have to say about it. Doesn't matter that the kid can't answer you. You process a 1-day-old baby, start the session. Doesn't matter that the kid can't answer you. That has no bearing on it at all. Starting the session, audit the child in a proper auditing room. Use communication bridges when you change the process. Bridge out of the session and end the session smoothly when the process is flat. L. Ron Hubbard from Lecture Child Scientology, 7th of July, 1957.
And it gets worse below.
Yeah, folks, are you getting this? You process a 1-day-old baby. 1-day-old baby. Guess you're e-metering you're auditing a child, and they want you to do it in a proper auditing room. And somehow using the communication bridge, you're going to be able to communicate with this 1-day-old infant and start bringing them out, bring out this bridge out of the session and in the session smoothly when the process is flat. Again, going back to the fact that children are nothing more than old souls in new bodies under the LRH mentality. Let's see. Here we go. Haggis Basher. Niacin can cause an excess of uric acid in the blood. I'm not even trying to pronounce that. Putting you at risk of gout. Now, here's what I can tell you. The wife and I started upping our vitamins, and we've been looking into different things. Well, we go through our doctor about everything, and one of the things that my wife heard something about was niacin. And our doctor told us, you can't, if you're going to take it, you can't take more than this dosage. And it was a really small dosage. And when she brought it up, I was like, wait a minute, that's the thing they use in the purification rundown. And then I remembered the levels that they were using. And I was just like, oh my goodness, this is ridiculous how much they're using. And then they're going into a sauna on top of it, which is going to deplete more of your minerals and vitamins in your body because you're going to sweat them out in the sauna process. I'm amazed. I'm surprised anybody that's true practicing Scientologist that goes through the purification rundown on a regular basis, I'm surprised they can walk with all the gout that's got to be going through there. Oh my gosh. So what are your thoughts so far on this, folks? Bill?
So Poe, for the kind of the what to do about it, I sent you the questions that I sent Serge.
Okay.
So that way we can kind of discuss how to do this.
Okay, cool. All right.
Because it is maddening to have somebody bring this to your attention and go, oh, but there's nothing we can do. Yeah, there is. Let's walk through this. Let's do the to-dos.
Like I've been saying for quite a while now. This is a marathon. This is not going to be a sprint. We have to go at this, and we have to keep plugging. And the more that we keep digging, the more shocking information we are pulling out. Okay. We are finding so much stuff. I mean, here we have this organization kicked out of 2 states and winds up in Florida, in Clearwater. And we already have the history, the things that have been going on where we have actual abuses of children that have been going on in these places. We have the stories of children being worked like slave labor. But the interesting thing is that their parents are having to pay ridiculous amounts to have their children treated like slave labor or indentured servants. Now they're out in Florida, and they've changed it from being a ranch to it's now a family center.
And don't forget they have birthing rooms.
So we're
going to get into that too. And I saw Amy had posted something. Where was it? Let's see. Trying to find it real quick. Here we go. And Amy, thank you so much. Amy, do you have the ability to do a live stream? Do you have, the ability on your phone? Do you have or on your computer? Because it'd be interesting to get you in here and hear your thoughts on these things as an RN. Aren't one-day-old babies still hospitalized, not discharged yet? Well, if you're having it there in a birthing center, that would be, what do you think?
Yeah.
And Mischief Managed, thank you for that super chat. Change your profile pic. What are you feeding there? What is that?
It's a monkey.
Is it a monkey?
Yes.
Oh, there. Okay, I see it now. Ooh, monkeys. Ooh. Monkeys give me the creepies. So, and you know what's funny is I was just showing before this started, I was showing Mona and Sir Crepitus videos from a good friend of mine extracting venom from venomous snakes, but monkeys creep me out. Let's see here. I'm just going through these real quick. From Nissa, what makes them think a day-old baby is going to answer anyone? Well, it talks about that in there where it says it doesn't matter that the kid can't answer you. That has no bearing on it. I I thought the whole point of auditing was that you ask questions and you get them to give you okay, thank you, Amy. She's not gonna be able to tonight. But I thought the whole process was getting people to actually acknowledge their crimes against Scientology, against the universe, whatever, however they talk that crap. But you know, I don't see how that applies to children other than transitioning in them and getting them used to being audited. Your thoughts, Mona?
I have no thoughts on that. That's just absolutely frickin' stupid. Sorry.
Bill?
Yeah, well, yeah, auditing requires verbal communication. So, yeah, it just blows my mind. How could they possibly audit a baby? I mean, do they go goo goo gaga, LRH, goo goo gaga? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't
Well, you
understand
know what?
how they
But if
could do
they
it.
cleared, they have communication abilities and they can clearly communicate to anyone, no matter the
Yeah,
age. So that's the thing.
and and,
And
and below, when you get to the next section, you'll see what L. Ron Hubbard says about babies being able to understand everything. It's just
oh
it's
yeah,
so
we're getting
it's
ready to
just
dive into that. We're just trying to process each section
uh,
as we go. We're trying to get our hats on and understand this stuff. The baby can understand almost anything. Now, here's somebody that's got a wonderful experience coming. It's everyone's assumption. I never jump on anybody for not knowing, but it's a wonderful assumption to say a little baby cannot understand you. As long as you make that assumption, they won't. But the very funny part of it is most of them have gotten through a life of being a erudite.
yes.
What does that mean?
Erudite would mean like superior, extremely intelligent,
Yep,
something
there
like
we go. Erudite, adjective, having or showing great knowledge or learning. I've heard that word, I've never used it. So, and they're tired of it and they'll fake it as long as they can. But if you talk to them as though they understand you, they very rapidly do.
Mona, stop that. You're cracking me up. You're making me this is supposed to be serious.
that. Mind blowing.
Well, you know what? It's having those little jump ins like that. That I mean, honestly, because like I said, I'm trying to keep myself from going off because this is mind blowing to me. Mind blowing. Mona, does pooping count as communication during auditing?
It does. It's their way of saying you're full of shit.
I bet it does. I bet it does. I bet they go flat right after that, don't they? So, um, gosh, it goes
If
on.
you can't
Uh,
laugh, you'd cry. If you can't
Yeah,
laugh, you'd cry.
Yeah.
and folks, this is part of police officer humor. Honestly, this is
Mhm.
how we handle things because we find a way to stuff the fact that we're hearing and seeing horrendous things on a daily basis as law enforcement officers, firefighters, EMTs. We all do the same thing. We have very weird senses of humor because of the job that we do. Oh, um, that's been one of the more interesting experiences that every auditor has had in handling children, in handling babies, and so forth. What can the baby understand? Well, the baby can understand almost anything. L. Ron Hubbard from Lectured Child Psychology, 7th of July, 1957. Isn't that interesting? I, the amazing thing is that when my children were infants and toddlers, I couldn't put a Lego set in front of them and have them build the Millennium Falcon model for me. By his statements alone, they should have known that. They should be erudites. All right. But from my experience, I don't know any children that you can put a full Lego set in front of them, they can build it. I don't know how many children you could put a book in front of them and they can read it as an infant or a toddler. But according to L. Ron Hubbard, and we know what a great parent he was, every child can. I'm just wondering if he ever actually experienced what it was like to be a parent, or he just had the children and pushed them off and left mama to raise them. Yeah, Nerman, that's very true. It's why did it do that? There it goes. It's on some kind of lag or something. Again, it's creepy. Adults that use this quack science. What's worse is it's adults using it on babies. Okay. Not only that, we know that they have had children auditing adults. Okay. Let's remember that. And I talked about that. I think, Bill, didn't you and I talk about this on one of the lives? About,
Yes.
about the fact that you have a child that is sitting there and they're being told explicit sexual content from an adult. And this child is having to process all this.
Yeah, and that's actually a crime in California. I don't know what it is in Michigan, but it's a crime out here. Sharing or uttering any kind of, gosh, I don't even know if I can use the word. Anyways, sharing explicit images or words of that nature is a crime for an adult to do that to a child, whether it's through electronic communications or it's uttered face to face. It's illegal.
Well,
How are they getting away with it?
I've talked about it before. I got one of the first ever arrests and convictions here in the state of Michigan under the Internet Safety Act that they put out, specifically targeting pedophiles. And I have to say these things in a certain way so that this video doesn't get struck down. And it was a man who was in his 40s who was going online, and he was pretending to be a 14-year-old boy, and he was talking in chat with all these teenage girls and building a relationship with them, believing that he's a 14-year-old boy. And then he would take it to the point where he would get them so involved with him, they would do an online wedding ceremony. And then he would travel to near where these girls lived, and he would meet up with them so that they could consummate their marriage. I was able to get this guy, even though the young lady, we caught him before he got to actually do anything. But the fact is, we got him for using those kinds of statements, saying those kinds of things to a minor. So if in that situation, if it is completely illegal for an adult to use that kind of content, use those kinds of wording, talk about those kinds of things, how is it not illegal that to make a child sit there and have to go through the process of listening and basically acting in what would be considered a priest capacity, where they are taking the confessions of someone? How is that not illegal?
Yep.
And
amazing. Go ahead,
yeah,
Mona.
and I'm just saying that they are so they're following the doctrine almost to the letter in this family center. That's almost redundant.
Well, if you
An
look, everything that
oxymoron,
they're
to be real
saying
honest.
is all
So
based on statements by Hubbard.
so
You know,
how are they not doing the ethics handling, the clay modeling, which it even talks about on one of these sites, the clay models that they use, and having the children audit adults?
yeah,
That is all part of it. That's all part of what Nora and Serge and Liz and everybody's talked about and has deposed. And how are they not? They are so ingrained in the doctrine for here. How is this getting by? I don't get it.
yeah. And Amy's got the exact right topic for it. Babies need to be bonding and nursing. All right. They need to be creating that bond with their parents. They
Crucial.
need to be, that's so when the first 5 years of a child's life are going to set in motion who they're going to become. it, to start off with showing them not to have emotion, not to, how to be non-reactive, be these little Scientologists. I mean, this goes back to what Jamie Mustard was talking about, being born and literally be taken from the birthing ward to Scientology and being given over to Scientology and being raised in a room with up to 30 other babies, where you had children as young as 7 years old being the caretakers of these babies.
It's all very Orwellian.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's not even Orwellian, because this is the kind of stuff that was happening over in Europe back before World War II started, and even during World War II, when they were producing little friends of Mr. Adolf.
Yeah.
All right, that was the kind of stuff they were doing there, literally creating baby factories to create good little soldiers. It's absolutely amazing to me. Haggis Basher, any parent worth their salt would research Elron before going anywhere near this school. Let's see. KDD comment, Reese has a book with the question to ask children when audited.
I asked her for a copy of that. Yeah.
That's just insane, isn't it?
Yeah. And unfortunately, parents are the ones that are praising their children. They're, yay, my child is an auditor at 11 years old. Yay. These freaking idiots are praising this.
I would like to know what on earth makes them think it's so great to put the weight of an adult and the things that they have done on a child's shoulders. Can these children comprehend? We had this financial difficulty, we had that financial difficulty, the wife and I are having these problems. How is a child going to be able to relate or even understand what is being talked about? It's sickening. Let's see. Comment, Serge was a child auditor who actually audited his abuser. Yeah. And I'm oh my gosh, I'm getting heartburn reading this crap. Grant beings to the baby. Grant beingness to the baby. Well, that's interesting.
That's another made-up word. Yeah.
Let's take a look at this. Let's do a Google search on it. Beingness, the quality, state, or condition of having existence. It's a crystalline, heartbreaking purity, that ontological beauty. Okay.
I don't think that word was in a dictionary 20 years ago.
Yeah, I don't think so. A very key point you should have down pat as a stable datum underneath whatever you do with a baby is from HCOB 20th of December 1958, processing a new mother. The next important thing for a baby is to know he or she is winning. Don't expect him or her to do more than a baby can do. Grant beingness to the baby. After all, you must remember what this being has just been through. A child is somebody that's just trying to get over a death, which might have been easy, might have been violent. He's just trying to recover from having shed all of his responsibilities. He's trying desperately to reorient himself in existence. L. Ron Hubbard from Lecture 23 of the State of Man Congress. This is something, tell me if I'm wrong, but doesn't this contradict what we just read a little bit ago? Don't expect him or her to do more than a baby can do?
Yep.
But didn't it just say up here that, or is it? It's a wonderful assumption to say a baby cannot understand you. As long as you make that assumption, they won't. But the very funny part of it is that most of them have just gotten through a life of being an erudite, and they're tired of it. and they'll fake it as long as they can. But if you talk to them as though they understand you, they very rapidly do. And then write down, and that was from July 7th of 1957. But in December 20th of 58, he says, don't expect him or her to do more than the baby can do.
Kind of
Yeah,
like
that's-
a liar. How many criminals have you had to interview in your career, John, where you could just let them talk and talk and talk? They're going. You're just sitting back listening and
Yeah.
counting on your fingers how many contradictions they've made. He's a typical liar. He just can't keep the story straight.
And Miss Sunrise Dawn's got it, but I thought they were just faking it. Yeah.
We're no dummies.
And yeah, I mean, that's the thing, Andrew, is that we keep pointing out time and time and time again. LRH lied. Let's remember, he held or still holds the record for the most fictional writings ever put to paper. I mean, this is a person who made things up for a living. So, I mean, that's why I don't find a lot of the Scientology stuff as I don't find it as shocking as some people do, because I realize the man spent so much of his life just being a liar.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So under services, we have all standard bridge services, and this is under the auditing. Mace Kingsley delivers the bridge from Purif through Ned up to clear. Who knows what Ned up means? Do either of you two know?
I don't know what net up is. I know what the Purif and the bridge and the clear is.
Another Scientology acronym among thousands.
We are the only field group where all of our completions go through Flag, which is located a mile away. All attestations are done at Flag after their qualifications division ensures the service was delivered 100% standardly.
I found the definition for Ned.
What's that?
I found the definition of Ned. I'll wait till you're done.
Go ahead. What is it?
It's so Ned is an acronym for New Era Dianetics.
Oh, okay.
So it's one of their lower courses, I think.
Yeah. And we all know that was, because they found grammatical errors and things like that in the old ones. So everybody had to throw those away and buy all new.
So NED was the 0 level course that Aaron and Serge were talking about, that they came in with the worst type of talking possible, so that way it made you comfortable talking about anything. Have you seen that video?
No, I haven't.
Absolutely disgusting.
There we go. And Nerman had it also. Here's an interesting one from Mara Lee. A lot of cultures, religions believe in reincarnation, but they don't expect a baby to know or understand previous lives. And that's, that's something I've seen with a lot of them, where they believe in reincarnation, but they don't expect you as a child to bring over the memories and the knowledge from your previous life. You basically begin anew in your new life. So
unless they're just faking it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. In addition to delivering the Purif grades, Ned, FPRD. What is FPRD? Mace Kingsley also specializes in method 1, happiness rundown and drug rundown. Oh man, we got to have somebody who's a former Scientologist jump in with some of this stuff. We literally need a Rosetta Stone on this one. Here's what Elron says about the bridge. The bridge is a term of originating in Dianetics days to symbolize travel from the unknowingness to revelation. It itself is based on the mystic's abyss allegory, wherein a wide, deep chasm is seen to separate a lower state of existence and a higher plateau of purification. Many attempting to attain the higher plateau do not, but fall instead into the abyss. We conceive Scientology as a bridge between the lower and higher state, a thing hitherto lacking. There are vistas never dreamed of, and there are joys never even known. There are glories no past glory ever surpassed. These wait for you, but only if you accept my legacy. Look at that. My legacy, and help bring these things about. L. Ron Hubbard. What do you think about that one?
Yeah, and it looks like Nerman gave us the answer to FPRD down there.
Nerman is going gangster tonight. I see that.
Yeah.
Let's see. False purpose rundown. Wow.
Thank you. Thank you, Nerman.
Thank you so much.
Even Google didn't catch that one.
Let's see.
Right.
I want to send this video to home security. I have the website. How can I send it? If you're you're basically going to copy and paste the web address, and if you want to send I put the link in earlier about the Wally incident. Let me see here. Yeah, Wally Hanks incident. I'm going to post that again. I'm not going to play it on here, and I do warn there is a trigger warning for this. It is about a child being abused. It is the audio from that instance, but this apparently happened at the Mace Kingsley in California at the ranch. So there's that. And then if you want to show this video, send this video, you can actually go to the share button down there at the bottom underneath where it has all the things for it, and you can copy and paste the URL for this episode. This is I mean, I'm literally losing IQ points the more I'm reading this. So
Nerman, were you a Scientologist?
let's see. We're going to ask you, Nerman. We're going to ask. So, yeah, we'll wait for the response on that. This is just incredible. The purification rundown. Oh, here we go. It helps you and your family get rid of the destructive effects of all the chemicals and drugs that exist in such abundance in our society. So I guess just being a member of society, you're affected. Those drugs seep into you somehow. Osmosis.
Look at this picture. Look at this
Yeah.
picture.
Yeah. I mean, look at these kids. Look at the young man right here. Look at his shirt. It's absolutely soaked with sweat. My goodness. My goodness. I can't stand being in a sauna. So I don't know how these kids are handling it.
And if they refuse to go in that sauna, they're going to get punished.
Yeah.
It's the LRH way.
Except for this one right here. All the rest of them got a big old smile, don't they? My goodness. And they don't even know what's being done to them. The way
Nerman, thank you for that information. I really appreciate it.
Oh, okay. Absolutely. Oh, wow. Boston org staff from 75 to 81. Wow. Yeah, Nerman, need a dictionary for this stuff. Absolutely. We're going to have to talk some more after this. The way a being perceives much of existence is via sensory channels of the body. The body is a communication center for the being, with the brain acting as a switchboard for translating through thought into action. The biochemical actions of drugs alter the normal operations of this pattern, often with harmful or even disastrous consequences. With the harmful effects of drugs and chemicals gone, you and your child will be able to concentrate and study better, stay in present time, and not get dispersed. And you will as well notice an increase in your energy level. I don't know if I just had all of the moisture sucked out of my body for hours in a sauna, and I've been sucking down niacin. I don't know how much energy I'm going to have left.
Yeah.
Nebulous, I don't know. Nebulous's question is, under the auspices of which government-approved department is this malarkey allowed to be placed into public domain? Well, I mean, honestly, look at all the hateful websites that are out there where they do absolutely horrible things, and they talk about horrible things, and they're allowed to stay up there.
Chris.
So yeah, I mean, and you know, Andrew, I thought somebody did an actual glossary or a dictionary of Scientology terms. I just can't remember who did it, but I know it was long. I talked to Aaron about that, Aaron. So, life repair. How can I best assist my child to do well, realize and achieve his dreams, and have the most healthy, happiest, and most prosperous life? Is there something I can do to make sure my child really learns from his childhood experiences and scholastic education? Interesting, they throw scholastic in there, isn't it? While he is growing up, how can I help my child to realize more of his true potential and avoid the serious pitfalls of living in a very out ethics culture? The answer is child processing, life repair auditing. Thoughts?
It just it does trigger me because I was listening to Nora. No, it wasn't Nora. It was Jenny. Jenny Sterling and Mike Brown the other day were talking about their auditing when they were young and their sec checking and ethics handling. And she was saying she finally broke down after 9 hours one day, and that was normal. 9 hours for a child to be audited straight.
Now think about it. I mean, when you hear a lot of the ex-Scientologists and they talk about their auditing sessions and things like that, and how long they're held in these rooms, in these locked rooms, as their statements say, they lock the doors and they don't let them out until they actually come up with some kind of sin or crime or whatever Scientology calls it. I mean, this is just amazing to me that, you know, you're doing this to children. Yeah, Lizzie, you got it right. It's such a word salad of nonsense. That I can't come up with a better explanation. Can either of you?
Yeah, no, that hits it right on the head.
Yeah. And let's see. I see that Serge was doing a live stream, so hopefully he might be able to join us and help us through a lot of this. This is just wow. All right, let's see. Achieve sanity and alertness never before attained. Sanity, huh? That's psychiatric, mental health, is it not? Isn't that where that's handled?
Yeah.
What is Scientology doing stepping into the role of psychology? Interesting. It brings the child under his own discipline and makes him capable of being what he wants to be, not what he is forced to be. Well, if you put a child in auditing from day one through their entire life, are they not being forced to be something?
Indoctrination.
Mm-hmm.
It's what that sounds like to me, but yet it says what they want to be, not what they are forced to be. You've
But we
just
all know.
a crap load of stuff talking about how you're going to put 1-day-old babies through auditing, putting them through the life repair, putting them through the purification rundown, putting them on the bridge. And now you're going to say what they want to be. How do they know what they want when everything has been put to them through this strict guideline of you do things this way, you react this way, you think this way, but now you're going to say what he wants to be.
Yeah. After all the brainwashing and indoctrination, what do you think they're going to want to be? They're going to want to be a Scientologist because that's the only thing you've taught them.
My goodness.
So, yep.
Well, that's all they know.
Yep.
Yeah.
They don't know anything different.
And for folks who are wondering about the Surges, the Noras, the Liz that are out there, the Aaron Smith Levins, Jenna Miscavige, you know, all these folks that their parents were in and brought them into it. It's no different in the same term of a parent who's a Christian, a Catholic, a parent who's Jewish, a parent who's Muslim, a parent who is a Buddhist. raising their children under those belief structures. Those children grow up accepting and understanding that that is the reality of the world and of the spiritual world. So for the second, third, fourth generations that are coming out that were in Scientology, you have to remember that's how they were raised. Their whole life has been wrapped around the belief that Scientology is the answer for everything. So, that I hear so many people, I just can't understand how they let themselves be put through that. That's how this works, folks. And that's what cults do. They get the parents locked in, and then they build a new generation who grow up only understanding the cult's ways, the cult terminology, what the cult does. That's why so many of them need the help of the SPTV Foundation. They need counselors, they need psychiatrists, they need social workers who can help them start understanding and being able to navigate through real life. And I hear so many people questioning how they could let themselves be put through that. It's because that's all they knew. And this right here is showing you how this is directly aimed at dealing with children. And if you can't understand any deeper the depths that it goes to in a child's mind, think about it, an infant who doesn't understand anything. And from the day that they're able to perceive anything that is happening around them, they're having L. Ron Hubbard and his lies stuffed in their head. That's why this is so sickening to me. That's why this is so outrageous to me. And like I said, I'm really trying to hold back how I really feel about this, because I want to be able to get through this as intelligently and openly and try to keep everything on an even keel. This is blowing my mind. Let's see here. What do we got here? And these are all basically statements from Hubbard. At the same time, it renders him less reactive towards educational measures which are provided for his future security. Do you guys know any Scientology schools that are actually teaching what has to be taught? I keep hearing most of these Scientology schools are basically teaching Scientology.
Right.
Yeah. It's kind of like what you would see in a madrasa in the Middle East. They're not teaching the kid. They're not giving the kids an education. They're teaching them fundamentalist Islamic beliefs, and this is the same thing. It's just Scientology is all.
This is just wow. Yeah. When you look at the way that Hubbard structured Scientology, when you understand Dianetics, and my understanding of what Dianetics is it's based on a treatment program that Sigmund Freud himself put together and then walked away from, shut it down because it was so dangerous to the patient, making them so dependent upon the counselor or the psychiatrist who was giving this treatment to them. And then you start looking at other things as he's talking about reincarnation, how all this stuff works, how it looks like that's being picked and pulled from Buddhism and from different religions from around the world. And it's amazing to me that it's not, so few people really understand, what is going on here. Before he put together Dianetics, before he was doing all this stuff, he was involved in Aleister Crowley, SEX, and blood sorcery or magic or spell casting, whatever you want to call it. That's documented that he was involved in these kinds of things. And it's just amazing to me that this man has been able to build this organization that we're now fighting against. Yet, when you look at the things that he was doing before he began forming Scientology, the depravity of the life that he had, it's absolutely amazing to me. What are your guys' thoughts so far?
Well, one thing you're not going to see on their website is how they discipline the children. I know I sent you a link last minute earlier,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
there's a university website that has an affidavit from a child that was thrust into Mace Kingsley Ranch, and she described some of the punishments that would be doled out, and it's very similar to what you would see if a Sea Org member got into trouble or if somebody got sent to the RPF. These
Yeah.
children are disciplined in ways that should not.
Oh,
It should be illegal.
you texted that
It's
one
just
to me, didn't you?
Yeah, just think
yeah.
of Liz Ferris talks about one of her punishments. I don't think she was RPF. One of her punishments was to dig her own grave, and then the next day she had to dig another grave. And she had to
Yeah.
keep digging holes that represented her grave.
John,
Wow.
I sent it to you by text.
Yeah.
I could post it, but I don't know if the link will
I,
be
I just
clickable.
emailed it to myself, so
Oh,
I'll pull that up.
it's a really, really good one for people to read.
Let's see here. All right, copy and paste. Wow, this is from 2004, Megan Porpora,
Yes, yes.
and it goes over. It's actually not hugely long, folks. So if you want to take a look at that, here is the link to it. And well, I don't even know where it's at up in here anymore. There we go. And this is from the, I don't know which
I'm not.
who is this from? This was in the study one of the universities did on Scientology, isn't it?
Right. Yes.
I've seen that website before. So this is amazing, folks. Absolutely amazing. So let's see. This it goes on with further quotes from L. Ron Hubbard from 1953. So let's see. Let's get
And that's
to.
Carnegie Mellon University is who did the study.
Okay, yeah. Okay. I'm trying to get to. Okay. Here's something that's really interesting that I was looking at. The parent hatting. We have the exact technology, and we talked about that. The exact technology at hand. That's just, I mean, talk about setting up for what they're going to do. Making themselves. Isn't this isn't this the Kingsley lady right here?
Yes.
Let's see. Over 40 years ago, after becoming highly trained in the techniques of Dianetics and Scientology, Carol Kingsley and Debbie Mace started in the LA area what is now known as Mace Kingsley Family Center of Clearwater, Florida. They realized then that they were a very strong reach for help with children. Mace Kingsley is now the largest Scientology field group in North America specializing in children. It has become well known as the group where kids get the technology needed for them. The Clearwater Center is where all delivery happens now. We have a 5,000 square foot building that includes a large purification center, 14 delivery rooms. Okay, you understand that, folks? They have 14 delivery rooms. Get them right out of the womb.
I mean, do they have nurses and doctors there? I hope.
I have no
Well, they're
idea.
probably considered home births.
I would have no idea what would be the legality of something like that.
Yeah. I mean, practicing medicine practically.
Child and adult waiting areas, a kitchen, a fenced-in yard, and more. My house is 2,000 square feet. So this whole place is in a building that's a little bit less than 3 times the size of my home. But yet
14 delivery rooms in a 5,000 square foot place? Whoa.
I mean, if you literally,
That
if
can't
this
be.
room right here, if you cut it, I guess if you just make it big enough for the bed and for one or two people to be there, you could literally just stack them in there like that.
Yeah.
14 delivery rooms. Plus, they got a kitchen, adult and child waiting areas, a large purification center. They packing a lot of punch in that building, aren't they?
Yeah, that 5,000's got to be wrong. It's got to be 50,000.
I would
There's
think
no way
so.
that could be 5,000.
But that's what it says right there, 5,000 square foot.
It's
Oh,
huge.
wow. Tech-wise, our delivery includes everything from introductory auditing, hatting on ethics, and all the way through whatever is needed so that the child is beautifully and smoothly set up to start their first steps of the bridge.
God.
We have auditors and case supervisors that have worked at Mace Kingsley for over 20 years and that are completely up to date on all their advanced training. It can be done with children and families. Mace Kingsley does it. Adults are serviced too. As an added bonus, key staff have made themselves available for delivery of parenting workshops around the U.S. and even in other countries, so as to assist parents with the LRH tech on parenting with valuable Scientology basics. We also travel by special arrangement around the US, Europe, Australia to deliver child Scientology tech to those unable to travel to Clearwater. I'm wondering how much that costs to have
Shirley
their
and
team
Cajun
flown out.
both have different site. They're saying that the delivery rooms may be delivering auditing, not delivering births.
Oh, okay.
That could be.
Makes sense.
Well, if you did that, you just need basically cubicles for the auditing. So let's see. Scientology strongly increases the beingness of the child in present time in order to secure the capabilities of the child in the future. LRH. That man, something else. Remember, folks, this is not the only one. Like I said before, we just went through the list of the others that are there. The Scientology schools, Delphi Academy, True School, Renaissance Academy, Ability Plus, Greenfield School in the UK. These are all places that are giving LRH or Scientology education to children. All right. To children. And this one clearly says right in their own website, a 1-day-old baby needs to be audited from LRH's own statements. Now, we're talking about statements made. Did you see any that were beyond the 1950s? I think 1958 was the oldest one, was the newest one I saw.
Right.
Yeah.
We're talking about statements and techniques from the 1950s.
This
And they're
is
proudly
doctrine that
displaying it.
the doctrine has not been changed unless
Mhm.
it's just gotten worse from David Miscavige. But the doctrine is they're still using the principles of auditing, ethics handling, and courses.
Yeah.
Well, Miscavige, he's squirreling the tech because number one, he's trying to get rid of some of the negative PR type stuff, and number two, every time he squirrels the tech, that means Scientologists have to take that course over again, and they have to pay for it again too. Money,
Wow.
money,
Right.
money.
Well, Definite Trouble Source says it looks about 5,000 square feet, no bigger. So let me take a look here real quick. And let's see. There we go. We'll pull it up on the old Google Maps there. How's that? Wow. Amazing to me. There we go. Oh yeah, it's not a very big building. Okay, so let's go ahead and pull this up. There we go. Okay, so I'm not
Wow.
hugely familiar with Clearwater. So I don't know. It said they're only a mile away from Flag, right? Yeah, here it is. Flag and the Fort Harrison are right here. So there's the Flag, and here's the Fort Harrison. And just right over here. I mean, literally you go out, take a left, and go down a few blocks, and you're there. But let's take a look at the building itself. From
So maybe
above,
Dusty Soda or Feral Cheryl or somebody could go by and just kind of take pictures and
I'd be curious to see what happens if somebody were to protest out there.
but you have to be careful because with this being specifically for families and children, you have to be very careful of how you're going to handle that.
yeah, you don't want to scare the children.
Yeah.
Well, plus you can get yourself in a lot of trouble. So we're going to go to Street View. And there it is. That's the building. That's the great, yeah, right there on the door. Mace Kingsley. That's right there. Let's see if we can go in any bit further. There we go. Yep. That's their building right there. And that's where all of this is being done. Am I missing something here? I mean, we look up, it's an L-shaped building right here. I mean, if you look at the parking lot, well, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15. They got parking for 20 vehicles right there. So I don't know how packed this place is supposed to be.
And she had said in that video they do 100 children a week.
Yeah, I didn't even go into any of the videos on it, but 100 children a week, but yet they've only got space for 20 vehicles to park here. Unless you look over here, I'm interested to see what is going on here with this van in this lot. Let's see if it's still there in the
Sounds like a typical Scientology exaggeration of their
Clearwater Academy International. Anybody know what that is?
Yeah, unfortunately though, one, even if it's just one, that's more than needs to be abused.
Yeah. And you know, these babies and these little kids have absolutely no choice in the matter. They're basically hostages. They're and there's nobody to advocate for them because it's their parents that are putting them through it. They have no choice. None.
Right.
Well,
It's
Clearwater
so
Academy
sad.
International. Here is what it says about them on Google. Clearwater Academy International is an independent applied scholastics licensed school located in Clearwater, Florida. Serves grades pre-K through 12 in a coeducational system. And that's from Wikipedia. So that tells you what that is.
Merrily, that's a good point. We'd have to look to see if protesting near a school is allowed.
Yeah, you got to be very careful with that kind of stuff. You don't want to get yourself in trouble over something like that. But, you know, here it is. You got the Clearwater Academy vehicle that is right there right there on the road in that Google view of that property. I mean, that's amazing to me. Clearwater Academy International. Now, I want to go down here. I want to see if we can see anything with that. If that van, no, it's not in there on that picture. But is that one of the Scientology buildings down there? Down at the end? You see it through the trees?
Yeah. It's hard to see. Or hard to say.
Yeah,
Could that be
this
the
is
Fort Harrison, maybe? I don't know. No.
no, I think it is like the apartment buildings where Tommy Boy has the two floors at the top there. Let's see. We'll back it out so we can see flag. No, it wouldn't be straight down from there. So, where is it? It's right there. And I think, yeah, no, that wouldn't be it. But this is amazing how all of this stuff is so interconnected. And, you know, here it is right outside of the Mace Kingsley family center. They've got a bus for a Scientology, a school that is a scholastics licensed educational facility for pre-K through 12.
You know what this almost reminds me of? My nephew was autistic and ODD and all the other labeled alphabet, and he did a lot of outpatient uh, uh, residential, but it was outpatient
Right.
therapies for behavioral. And that's what this kind of reminds me of, is like an outpatient, like a behavioral center.
Wow. And then Nerman's saying right up the street from there is Axiom. Check it out. It's a Scientology LLC business. Well, like I said, I'm just amazed. Oh, we got to be careful because we've got a really dangerous one in here. Pinche Becky. Hola, Pinche.
Hola, little sister.
Yeah, I can answer Becky's question there if she wants.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Yeah, so yeah, out here in California, you can actually protest near schools as long as you're not disrupting the school or you're not annoying the children. By annoying the children, what that means is as long as you're not trying to contact them and talk to them. There are actually misdemeanors in California. If you annoy children, it's actually a misdemeanor. Very vague law, but it's there.
Yeah, and you've got to check your state laws wherever you're at. Florida may be completely different on how they handle it than other states are. And you got to remember that, when it comes to children and, impacting children or harming them, causing disruption for them, there's a lot of gray areas there as it pertains to First Amendment rights. So you got to be very careful in how you do it. So,
yeah, and there may be better ways of protesting behind the scenes rather than in your face for a center like that.
Yeah,
School.
Holding a picket sign, as long as it's clean and not offensive, is pretty benign, in my opinion. But
I would think so too. But I mean, you got to remember, these are also the same folks who are calling the police and making hate speech complaints against protesters,
against chalk.
Yeah. Martha Simmons is saying that Clearwater Academy International brags they have word clearers. What does that mean, Martha? I would love to know what that means.
Yeah, I've never heard that one.
Nora was a word clearer, and she was the one that would, if you were doing auditing and you needed to know the word, then you'd have to look it up, and then you'd have to define it, and then you'd have to go through. You'd have to use it 10 different ways. And Nerman, I'm sure, could define it better, but she was a word clearer.
That's wow. According to the ACLU, you can protest in front of a school. Yeah, according to the ACLU, but you got to remember ACLU has had some big victories, but they don't win every case they go through. So you want to be very careful when you're dealing with these things. And it can be something that, they find the one little iota that's different from other cases, and that's what they can get you on. Let's see.
And I don't know why you couldn't protest Mace Kingsley in front of the Harrison Center, in front of Flag.
Right.
They're gonna know the protest.
And the thing is, Indefinite Trouble Source was talking about it, and I was looking at this property through the satellite imagery. I'll pull it back up.
I love that name, Indefinite Trouble Source.
if you try to protest this from out here, hold on, let me get it up first. Daggone it. Drew Street right here is the main roadway out there where you'd want to be, where you'd get the most people seeing you. if you did it but the problem is nobody at Mace Kingsley is going to see you if you do it there. If you do it here on Grove Street, that's a little tiny street. And when is the only times you're going to be able to do it there is when people are coming and going. So you got to be careful on that.
Yeah, even that southwest corner of Booth and Grove would be a good place to stand.
Yeah. What's this Child Faith Academy International?
Oh boy,
it's a preschool. Let's see. Church of the Reconciler. No idea. No idea. Yeah, it's that I have no idea what that even means. Oh, and right here is Clearwater Academy International. So it's literally right here on the corner of Drew. And what is this? Says Alt 19. What street is that? Anybody who's from Clearwater who can tell us what that is. But here's Clearwater Academy International. This is it's killing me. Let's see. California has the same law, disruption of a school function. So, but we know what, I mean, look, they charged Jay with disrupting a religious service. So, I mean,
yeah, but he was using a megaphone.
Yeah, true.
I mean, it's still a BS charge, but
The Journey 2020 word clearers are those who help understand the tech and the material. Wow.
Could a mod or somebody put your email in the comments, Poe?
Who, mine?
Yeah, Brandon wants to know how to get a link to you.
There we go.
Thank you, sir.
You can't pass a word you don't understand. Clay demos for examples. Okay. Wow. Wow. Penche Becky says we have a community center here in South Central LA. It's scary. I'm folks, I'm literally I'm at a loss for words.
So to kind of go back to what can we do about it? And you have to be able to correlate that the doctrine is harmful and abusive to children. And the only way to do that is to have receipts, either people that have already been through it, people that know about it, or physical evidence today.
I'm going to pull up the email you sent me. How's that?
So open that up and let me go through those questions with you that I've asked Serge and I've asked Liz, and I haven't sent it to Nora. I'm sure if like Louis Repetto's in here or Nerman, all of you guys can answer this. I can surmise and I could probably answer these, but I want people that were there, are there to answer these, so that way we have direct correlation.
And number one is, what are the main doctrines of Scientology? Audits, ethics, handling courses. What are those?
Yep. And tell me what those three things are. Define those three things.
Let's see. Number two, at what ages do audits, ethic handling, and courses start? Well, apparently day one.
One day. Well, we know, but that's what I'm saying. I want somebody either to do a video or answer me on paper this, so that way I can use these as receipts.
Let's see here. Number three, are these doctrines history or do they take place today? That's and I think that's something it's a very valid question. And that would be better answered by someone who has literally just come out, don't you think?
Yep.
Number four, how many children or are all subject to these doctrines? I think by the things that I've read from what LRH is putting out there and what they're, what is being presented to everyone, that all children are subject to it.
It was kind of rhetorical, but yes,
yeah,
but I want it, as I said, I need it verbalized, or I need it written down. to use it as documentation for the FBI.
Yeah. Number 5, why are these doctrines portrayed as good in promotional material? I think that I mean I could say that, you know, when they show all of the great success stories that people are forced to write out, I think that's, you know, that's where they use that just to promote how good they're doing with everything. But yet, when you talk to people who are former Scientologists and they talk about the fact that they literally just did that stuff just so they could get out of those rooms after hours and hours and hours of being basically held hostage, holding some soup cans.
I know that, but when Common Joe looks at the website without no knowledge, they go, "What's wrong with it?"
Yeah.
So tell me what's good about it.
Yeah. Number 6, what really goes on in these doctrines? And I think that's a very valid point. You know, we understand that they have doctrines, but what does it really boil down to? Especially if we don't understand a lot of the nomenclature that they use or the verbiage that they use.
Right.
Number 7, are these doctrines abusive? How specifically? Physical, mental, or sexual? I mean, I think that, you know, it's all three from the stories I've heard.
Right, but that's what I'm asking. How
Yeah.
are they?
Yeah.
Give me some examples. Tell me how they're abusive.
Yeah. And number 8, what other doctrines are abusive to children? The video from you and Aaron, an example, and that was for Surge, right?
Yeah, that was the word clearing. That is the definitions, purification, those type of things.
Wow. Let's see here. And the Journey 2020 says, Mona, the Sacramento org website training and services can be approved by parents. I'm looking now to show receipt. Had a 9-year-old and 14-year-old that did the purification rundown.
By the way, I want to say the Journey 2020, she does a really good job up there in Sacramento. And Journey, if I don't know if you ever got my email. I know that you had some questions about that trespass notice that you got from law enforcement. I emailed you back on that. I'm just not sure if you got it. If you didn't, please email me again, and we'll try to work something out so I can communicate that to you.
Journey, does Journey have a YouTube channel?
She sure does.
Journey, if you could put your link in there for me in the comments, I'll pull that up. I want to make sure that I'm subscribed to that and that we're getting that out there to everybody.
And could you please copy me that on that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Let's see. Andrew B. Interesting. The SP community has to think of these ideas. When Mr. Child USA and the aftermath knows all this, supposedly has FBI contacts, why would Render not use this information and do these? Yeah, if he cares.
Amen, Andrew. Amen. Thank you very much.
Man, I'm really liking Andrew tonight. That's for sure. Nerman and Andrew are just killing it tonight.
Yeah,
My goodness.
If Mike Render brings up that stuff, he's going to have to implicate himself in some of the cover up, some of the other things that have happened.
Well, that was one of the things I brought up when in the More We Dig, and then in one of the other lives I did where I was talking about Render and what was going on. And that was a question that I had is one of the reasons why he has been stonewalling things, why he is, not being transparent about things. Is it because he's worried about being criminally tied to things?
Criminally or civilly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that those are valid points.
When I'm sitting here going, I did some really bad things in my life and I'm repentant for it, and I want to do better, and I want to make the world a little bit better and a little more right. I'd go to jail to save one child. Screw him. One child could be saved with him opening his mouth. Sorry, I'm getting passionate, but this just ticks me off so bad.
Have at it. If let your emotions out there. Martha has a great one here. We need auditing transcripts that kids participate in with adults. Politicians can't duck the obscene nature of audits.
They did.
Absolutely.
Him and Aaron gave a script.
Oh, they had
And
a
that's
transcript, huh?
that's the video that I'm talking about.
Yeah. And Pinche Becky, purification is extreme detox. Yeah, I mean, I could save them all money. They can just go to, some of these places where the water's not so good and they'll get detoxed real quick. So, I mean, my goodness. Let's
Well,
see.
isn't there a law you have to be a certain age to do saunas commercially?
I'd have to look that up. A legal age.
But Andrew, that's okay. If he were to be given immunity day one, okay, whatever. I don't really care if he goes to jail or not. If one more child doesn't get hurt, I don't give a rat's ass who goes to jail or not.
Yeah.
I'm looking it up right now, and what I'm seeing is, in short, while there aren't any age restrictions for sauna users, certain age groups may need to exercise more caution than others, especially children and elders, and those with pre-existing conditions. Another one says, because younger children have a hard time regulating body temperature. Children who have not gone through puberty, typically 12 and under, should be supervised and only allowed in a sauna for 10 to 15 minutes at a time.
Not 10 to 15 hours.
And yeah, let's see. I'm just looking. And another one says, generally kids under 8 years of age can't regulate heat as efficiently, so precautions are needed to be totally safe in a sauna. But these are all from sauna groups, sauna websites, and things like that. Wow, but it appears that there's no actual legal stance on it. So,
well, I know when we would go to the gym, they had a sign in there saying that no kids under a certain age.
Oh, here we go.
I don't know.
The at the Journey 2020 is her YouTube site. Because I typed in, oh, you know what? I spaced things out. So let me non-space it. All right, there we go with that squirrel for the picture. All right, and it's at the Journey 2020. So let me go ahead and pull that up for everybody. So you make sure you get over there, and Journey, if you can shoot me an email, I'd love to talk to you. And because so Crepitus has given you his endorsement. Oh, you already put it up there. All right, there we go. So that's the Journey 2020's YouTube channel. Make sure you get over there and check it out. All right, I'll put it up there too anyway. So get over there and show them some love. And I got Golden's Poe. What's that mean? Is there a gee, thanks for this? There you go. Let's see. There we go. There's my email for you, Journey 2020. So I'm looking. Blow Drill. There we go. Blow Drill is another one who knows a lot about that. Where were you at earlier? We could have used your deep mind and all this stuff. CST has no direct management of Scientology services.
Correct. CSI does. Church of Scientology International versus Church of Scientology Technologies.
Yeah, I was trying to, I know what it is. I just couldn't remember it. Let's see. Kenneth, I was going to bring that up. I'm actually thinking I might come on tomorrow night and do a live specifically about that. Folks, if you haven't heard, one of the members of the Aftermath Foundation has resigned, and they left quite an interesting statement on their blog post talking about it. I think that I'm just going to do a live tomorrow night and just go over what's on that blog post. So, yeah, there's some really interesting statements made there. Yeah, and it's crazy. Let's see. CST does own Dianetics and Scientology copyrights and registered trademarks.
Right. Yeah,
And
that's what
Blow,
it's called.
and
Spiritual
Blow Drill
technology.
was posted there for a few years. So Blow Drill actually worked out of CST.
Yeah, RTC and CSI are the ones with the license. No, CST and RTC are the ones with the licenses that get paid, and it goes up to the member trust. The member trust holds all the money.
Wow. It's amazing. You know, how did you start coming across all this information, Mona?
Just following the money, trying to find who to blame or who to look at. And I've found over 50 organizations licensed under the Church of Scientology. Now, see, the Church of Scientology is a church, but it has no members, no money, and no management. Go figure. I don't know how you're a church if you don't have any of that. But underneath, they've got it so webbed, all the different organizations.
Oh yeah.
They've got it so webbed that you'd have distinctly, like all of the church affiliated, let's say the Church of Chicago, it pays CST and RTC the license fees for the technology, and they sell the services like vacuum cleaner salesman. That's how they get paid, is like a vacuum cleaner salesman. They don't even 1099 each other. And if I'm going over too many people's heads, sorry,
That's
they
just
don't. They have people open up their own business licenses, buy the services, and then resell them to get their commissions. And they're not even commissioned. They're not 1099. It is
it's
so complicated.
it's what was that one where someone was describing something about it being wrapped in an enigma inside of something else, that's what comes to mind when I hear this. And hey Kenneth, you didn't blow it, don't worry about that. You literally asked a question and we're letting folks know what was going on, so don't think that you blew anything there. You didn't.
Hey,
And
Laura.
say thank you to Laura Waldy. If you're one of the folks who was gifted one of those 10 memberships, thank you so much. Yeah, and Journey 2020, if you need anything, reach out to any of us. We're all here. We're a community that we try to support each other. And if you need something, just reach out to us. And that's I'm always willing to help out. I know Sir Crepitus is always willing to help out. You're actually closer to him than I am, or Mona. So, we're not a hop, skip, and a jump away from California. So,
So
all right.
Blow
So
Drill, ASI is under the member trust. And
that's all
ASI,
Author Services International, right?
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. 1099 is an independent contractor, isn't it?
a 1099 is an independent contractor, yes.
Yeah, because that's what we had to do with all of the folks who worked under my wife's career service. Let's see. Yeah, and you're welcome, Kenneth. So, before we head out of here, Sir Crepitus, any thoughts?
Well, just that people just need to remember that these kids don't have a choice. They're thrown into this. There's absolutely nobody to advocate for them, except people like us and ex-Scientologists that are trying to help the movement along. And also, one thing I've been wanting to say is, I know that we've gotten a few laughs during this live stream, and please don't think at all that any of us are laughing at the kids or anything, because it's just absolutely effing horrible. But we're laughing at the absurdity of L. Ron Hubbard and this Miss Kingsley family center. It's so absurd. You have to laugh at it. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's mind-blowing, folks. And yeah, there's no it's more of a coping mechanism, the humor and the laughter. But that's, sometimes that's the only way you can actually deal with things. But it's not yeah, there you go. Andrew B put it right. We laugh for sanity. That's how it works with that stuff.
Yeah.
Mona, closing thoughts from you, ma'am.
Kind of ditto, saying the same thing, is that, I don't laugh because it's funny. I laugh because I'm just amazed at the horrible things that children are having to go through and live through, and they think it's normal. And it's not normal. This is not normal. This is abusive. This is horrible. And I wish I could just wave a magic wand or snap my fingers and everything would be right in the world,
Yeah,
but it's not. So until then, I need to just keeping on.
absolutely. Yeah. Blow Drill says his father's been has been teaching up at Delphi for the last 38 years. Folks,
Wow.
think about that. That means that place has been open for at least 38 years. 38 years of reinforcing Scientology on children. It's absolutely heartbreaking. And you have to find humor in all of this sometimes. Otherwise, the depression, yeah, it'll break you if you're not. Um, it's crazy. Andrew, I think that one of the best ways is that you show them the receipts. You show them what life is like outside of Scientology. Show them a safe harbor that they can come to and know that if they need to get out, they've got that ability. And for those of you that are secretly watching these things, the SPTV Foundation, sptvfoundation.org,
Right on.
they are there to help you. And talking about that, coming up this Saturday, we are going to be doing a chatathon for the SPTV Foundation. We are going to be running for, it's going to be like the old school SPT chatathons, this one, and we have a ton of people coming in. I believe the two of you are going to be coming, are you not?
I plan. I need to talk to you more about it, but I plan on it. Yes.
I
Absolutely.
plan on it.
Yeah, all right. And it's going to start at 8 p.m. on Saturday, and we're going to just roll straight on through. I'm going to be in there from 8:30 to 11, bringing in the folks that I've invited into it. From 11 till 2 a.m. will be Marilyn Honig. From 2 a.m. onward, you're going to have Chad in there and his many, many different alter egos that he has going on. But this whole thing it's celebrating the SPTV Foundation and the work that they're doing. It's also the 1-year anniversary of the chatathon. That's right. The first chatathon was a year ago. So we're celebrating a couple things here, but the whole point of it is to raise money for the SPTV Foundation and the good works that they do. Remember, when Miriam Francis was unable to get the funding for her treatment, Aaron stepped up before the SPTV Foundation even was finalized and said, no matter what, you're getting your treatment. Fortunately, we were able to hold the chatathon for Miriam. She raised way more than she needed for it, and God bless her. Like I said, use the leftover money and have a vacation. I have no problem with that whatsoever. But the fact is, folks, is that this is going to be a big event, and it's for a good cause and a good reason. Now, as for tonight, I know this stuff is triggering. I know it's hard to listen to. It's amazing to find out the depths of what is going on in Scientology, how they view children, what they're doing to children. We already have the stories: Serge, Liz, Ononora, Miriam Francis, children who are being SA'd. And what is happening? Instead of dealing with the person who did this, they move them out of the way. They hide them from the world. All right. So if they're hiding that, you think that they're going to have any problem whatsoever shoving LRH BS down the throats of children, stuffing their minds with it? Like it said right there on their own website, a day-old baby, audit them. You know, and then it contradicts itself because on one hand it says they're that old spirit who's just left another life and come into a new body, and they're shedding the previous life where they were highly functionable and highly knowledgeable. Then the next one says is if a kid can't, a kid can't. So we don't know what, you know, these are the things that they're shoving into the minds of children. How in the world is this in any way helpful for children? Shoving a child into a sauna for hours at a time, when literally I'm showing you from sauna companies saying you should not put children in there for very long. One of them says no more than 10 or 15 minutes at a time because they cannot regulate their body temperature. But you're putting them in there for hours. You saw that photograph. The one young man's entire shirt was drenched with his own sweat. You telling me that's 10 or 15 minutes in a sauna in that picture? Maybe that might be a good start with CPS over the fact that they're actually advertising this, but the actual manufacturers of saunas are saying you shouldn't be in there as a child for that long. It's not safe because children can't regulate body temperature. That might be a good point to start hitting up Children's Protective Services and those organizations. But the fact is, on top of all of this, our goal, not only to shut down Scientology, but to save the children. The children and the elderly are the two most fragile victims that they have. The children especially, because you are going to take this child and you are going to mold how the rest of their life is going to go by what you are doing to them at the most formative ages of their life. And then the horrors, the abuses, making them work, the SAs, basically human trafficking of babies. All of this has to be stopped. We have to keep pushing it out there. We have to keep making the statement to the federal agencies, the state agencies, the bureaucrats, the politicians, the local governments. We have to keep the voice going. We're already making headway when every time that they shut down and they lock their buildings up because the protesters and the auditors are there. Bobby Joe Kellogg and I saw it firsthand in Battle Creek when we showed up and looked one way, turned back, and they had already drawn the curtains at the Battle Creek, Michigan. Now we find out $5.5 million has been donated by a couple in Detroit to the Battle Creek mission. All right. We got to keep fighting this. We got to keep exposing it. That's the only way we're going to get it to stop. Don't think you don't have a voice, folks. You have it in you. You just need to make that first move, and then things start rolling. I believe in you. Mona believes in you. Sir Crepitus believes in you. Everybody in SPTV believes in you. You have to believe in yourself. Yes, you can make a difference. Yes, you can help in this fight. And it doesn't have to be out there doing the protesting in person. It doesn't have to be out there doing the auditing. It can simply be by making an email up and sending it off to your member of Congress, an email sent to Children's Protective Services, an email sent to the Department of Justice. This is how you can contribute. All right. You don't have to be out there and literally be protesting right there in front of those places. Not everybody can do that, but you can make a difference from wherever you are. You just have to believe in yourself, and we do too. All right, folks, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And remember, life is short. You get one shot. Make it count.